You know, I love these portable SSDs, and you've seen loads of benchmarks on similar products. But today we have a portable SSD that goes in the capacity up to 8 terabytes with the speeds up to 2000 megabytes per second in read and write. Of course, the speeds may vary depending on the hardware and software and all the other stuff, but benchmarks did approve. So what we got here is TEAMGROUP T-Force M200 portable SSD, which has USB 3.2 generation 2x2 Type-C connection. So the box is quite simple. You get a portable SSD and you get USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable for connection. No USB Type-A because you won't most likely achieve those speeds. So it's really straightforward. You can connect it to laptop, PC, tablet, phone, console, and cameras. And when I say cameras, in terms of those that use Type-C connection, like for instance the Blackmagic cameras that need ultra high speeds and good cooling, because after all, in those terms, when you connect it to your camera, and even with the speeds going quite nicely and stable, the thermal throttle will happen if the cooling isn't good. So then you'll have FPS drops like I did in one review. So this is definitely something that will manage that. Why? First of all, the designing team from TEAMGROUP designed this M200 based on some sort of a military style. So it's inspired by sniper rifles because you have injected Picatinny rail motifs on it. And not only does it have a unique design, without a doubt, it also increased, because of it, the surface area for cooling. There's also one more cool factor because of it. Now it's really lightweight and portable because it has only 83 grams of weight. Talking about the material and the design, we have graphene with dual structure, so we have two top and bottom chassis. Then we have tactical military style hanging hole at the top of the SSD, and all in all, I would say it's a cool thing. This model right here is 1 terabyte. You have 2, 4, and 8 terabytes, so you can actually choose the size that you need for your purposes. With this speed, 10 gigabytes file is in 20 seconds transferred. Quite an outstanding portable SSD in those terms. I mean, you can grab any external or portable SSD with these kind of speeds, but the cooling is important, as already stated. So I did two benchmarks and I used ASRock B650E Steel Legend. Now the Type-C on that motherboard doesn't have the connection to cover the speeds up to 2000 megabytes per second. On the other hand, I used the MSI MPG Z690 Edge Wi-Fi, which actually did manage to pull out the speeds, and we got some interesting results. So in ASSD, the read speeds went up to 1832.13 megabytes per second, while the write speeds go up to 1743.33 megabytes per second. In Autodisk benchmark, we have a bit of a different story. Read speeds go up to 1.9 gigabytes per second, while the write speeds go up to 1.88 gigabytes per second. And then we go to Crystal Disk Mark. The read speeds go up to 2036.62 megabytes per second, while the write speeds go up to 1910.25 megabytes per second. Now, I used 19.1 gigabyte file to actually grab some real-life testing for these, because synthetic benchmarks could always be done quite easily. So the write speeds went up to 1.2 gigabytes per second, while the read speeds at some point, well, basically immediately after I finished the write speed, the read speed went up to 5.75 gigabytes per second, which was strange. I do have to agree. The reason for that was that the files were still in cache, so I unplugged the SSD and returned it back just to get more realistic speeds, 1.5 gigabytes per second. And I would say that this SSD, first of all, the design, the lightweight, it's pretty cool. It doesn't have any sharp edges, if you might consider, because of these parts. Shame I don't have 8 terabytes right here with me, because for future events that I usually go to would be really handy next to my MacBook, and to use it as such to store data on it, because after all, MacBook has only 512 SSD, and I mean 1 terabyte I think should suffice for everything. But regardless to that, lightweight, nice carrying case. I think it should be waterproof at some point, because nobody will place it on their backpack on the outside of the case leave it hanging as such, and then imagine going if some rain starts to pour or anything similar to that. But yeah, that is kind of reasonable. You wouldn't do such a thing. After all, it is a nice piece of hardware, and it's quite handy to carry it around. It's, I would say, slim. It's around 1 centimeter of thickness and lightweight. That's important. The speeds are there, what they stated on their website and on the box, up to 2000 megabytes per second, as they also stated, depending on the hardware and software that you're using, it gets to that point. Outstanding, right? So it's a bit of a short video in those terms, because I tested out my Blackmagic works perfectly fine. I tested out the synthetic benchmarks, and we have real life testing. So there's that. All in all, quite nice. And I would say PC Crazy approved badge, because it is a handy portable SSD. And that's all there is to it. The link for the T-Force M200 is in the description below if this is something that you might be interested. And finally, if you want to see future content coming on this channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and click the notification bell, which is really important because you get notified for each future video. Thanks and see you very soon, guys. Bye bye.